Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Into one of the last reviews of this little sort of subgenre of movies that I'm delving into. This is more of I wouldn't call it found footage, more of a mockumentary. Pretend it's a documentary. It's a film that, thanks to a good guy, a classic rocker, he found me a link to see this film. Does this film about I don't believe has ever been released in the US on DVD. It was released on VHS, but that'll be hard to find. I'm pretty sure it was released overseas on DVD, but yeah, that's gonna be hard to find too. Which, let me just say, if you can't get the stuff to buy here, then why not be able to upload on YouTube? Because you look on YouTube, there's not much about this film at all. And of course, that is 84 Charlie MoPic, also known as 84C MoPic. Like, if you type in 84 Charlie MoPic or 84C MoPic, you just get a lot of kind of maybe clip samples, a fake trailer. That's pretty much it. Not much else to it than that. Now, the title 84C MoPic or 84 Charlie MoPic, basically that's to do with MoPic as in motion picture. And I had heard about this film as well, because I looked at the title of this film, I'm like, the title of this film sounds familiar. Why does the title of this film sound familiar? And my friend Mike, OCP Communications, this is actually, I remember on one of his older channels, he had talked about a war film, and I forgot what it was, and it was actually this film, and he really liked it. So I gave it a look, and I will say this, I don't love the film, but there's no excuse why this film's not on DVD. I mean, there's a lot worse films, including Zombie Diaries, that are on DVD. I think this film deserves it too, and it'd be nice to get like interviews and stuff. It's written and directed by Patrick Duncan, who I believe is a veteran of the Vietnam War. And this actually is the same guy who has gone to write Mr. Holland's Opus. He wrote Courage Under Fire with Denzel Washington. So he's gone to do a few stuff. Some miniseries on the Vietnam, I think like the Vietnam War story. Like, pretty accomplished writer. This was the first film he directed. And he also wrote this film. And it's a mock-up documentary of the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol. I want to get that right. Basically, it's this new LT and this cameraman who's named MoPic for motion picture specialist. The guy, new LT and guy with the camera are going to follow this group of 5 guys as they go on a recon patrol to do reconnaissance. They go to a spot, they find some enemy, radio in to bomb the shit out of it, and so on and so forth. And you find out that this is maybe their last mission. The 5 guys, you got one guy who's named Easy, kind of the joker of the group. Yeah, one guy who's named Pretty Boy. One guy named Cracker. He's kind of a southern man. Yeah, one guy named Hammer, who maybe is a little bit of a, I wouldn't call hothead. Not hothead's the wrong word, but he's a little bit of a gun-ho, so to speak. Richard Brooks, which is like the one guy I recognized was Richard Brooks, which is sort of their, wasn't sure if he was a sergeant. His name is OD. He's sort of the guy that leads the squad, and all of them trust this guy, Richard Brooks. And no, it's not Richard Brooks, the guy who played Jason in Friday the 13th Part 3. This is Richard Brooks. I remember him in Shocker as Peter Bird's friend. He's also in G versus E. He starred in that TV series where you had Clayton Rohner, and then his partner was Richard Brooks. And yes, he does happen to be black, as some people may want to ask. He's the black guy, but he's the leader of the squad. I like Richard. I'm like, oh, I recognize that guy. And basically, the 90 minutes is them doing a regular reconnaissance. A few little things, some things go wrong. Some people in the squad get killed. And then basically gets to the ending. Now, I like the film because it's written very well. First off, yeah, this was 1989. This film came out. So granted, you had Cannibal Holocaust and stuff. That was in 1980 and such. I think it was 80. But this is 1989. This is a fake documentary. This is long before Blair Witch Project. Among all these other films in today's age, like Paranormal Activity and stuff. And you had this film in 1989. And of course, around that time, you had all the Vietnam War films. You had Casualties of War, you had Platoon, you had Hamburger Hill, you had Full Metal Jacket. And if I had to be honest, I liked all those films better than this film. Hamburger Hill, I really enjoy, as well as Full Metal Jacket. Casualties of War, great performances by Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. Platoon, I like. I like the film. Granted, war films are not really my most favorite genre. I mean, I could probably name 10 at most war films I enjoy. Like Full Metal Jacket, Hamburger Hill, Platoon, Casualties of War, The Hurt Locker. Granted, it's another war, but that's a war film like, those are 5 I can think of. I guess I could put this in there, you know. I like the film. But I mean, there's certain ones I saw once, and I'm not really a fan of Saving Private Ryan. I'll be flat out honest. I'm not a fan of We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson. Black Hawk Down, I have to watch it again. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so my opinions may change on it. I thought I liked it, but I have to see it again. But you know, going into that, I will say the director / writer did a really good job on delving. Since he's a veteran of the Vietnam War, you got a lot of nice details where it's the men are talking to the LT, as well as who's played by this guy named Jonathan Emerson, and also to the cameraman, because not only are they filming the recon, but this can be also used as sort of a little training video for recruits to see in the actual battlefield. So they teach them about, you know, watch out for booby traps. Here are booby traps here. To not smoke because, you know, they do smell the smoke for when there's a good breeze for a long ways away. They do a lot of interviews with each of the men, so you get a little bit of their background. Like the Joker of the group, Easy, he's like, after this, he's going to be going home. So you get a little bit of background with each character. And you do feel a certain reality to the film where, you know, all the actors and all the dialogue flow pretty naturally. The film gets a 6.9 on IMDb, and that's a fair rating on it. But again, it treats itself, it's never over the top. As most people would say, it doesn't go into a Hollywood type of filmmaking. It doesn't deal with too much about politics or too much about, you know, big old dramatic arts. It really is sort of a fly on the wall on if you're in this platoon. And you definitely get a certain realism to it. Because it's not about politics, it's not about drama, or it's not about any, you know, big old, you know, huge speeches. And yeah, it really is a fly on the wall on a day or so, you know, day to day of these 5 guys on this mission that maybe their, I think they said it was their last mission and whatever. Like some of the dialogue, like Easy, the has a lot of funny dialogue. He comes up with the Joker of the group, like I'm not assumed to be promoted to PFC, private fucking civilian, you know. And granted, I mean, the thing about the film though that bugged me, the film does seem like it goes by very slow. Because it's more of a fly on the wall, it's not an action movie. Don't go into it thinking it's an action movie. It is more of a drama. It just seemed like not much seemed to happen where, like, by the half-hour mark, all you really got was they went in and then they've been doing some interviews. And then by the hour mark, it's like they did doing some interviews. You have a little bit of chats, a little bit of details, like, you know, getting water from the stream and how one time, you know, there was bodies in the stream and, you know, we call it soup. A lot of it's dialogue heavy. They find a battalion, they call it in. And then there's the last 15-20 minutes where they've succeeded in the mission, they're going back, and then the men start getting killed one by one. But again, the acting is A+, the script is, the dialogue flows very naturally. You're not like taken out of place, or it doesn't seem forced or fake. It seems natural. It just, I got a little bit bored at times, I will admit. I'm got a little bit antsy, like, okay, you know, I'll be honest, I'm a bigger fan of Blair Witch, but I think more things happen in Blair Witch Project. You know. But I mean, that's the point. It's supposed to be on a fly on the wall, you know, a realistic take on it. And then you get to the end, and I'll spoil the ending in case people are not able to see it. There's a few men left, and they get to the village, and there's the helicopter, and a firefighter where they get into the helicopter. And I guess the film does a nice job of making you think, maybe being a little bit surprised who lives and who dies. Right off the bat, the black guy doesn't die. Oh shit, you know. He got shot in the side, he's bleeding, but he's not dead. The newbie, the LT, you know, usually, you know, the greenhorn, sometimes he's the guy who gets it. But not the case here. He helps Richard Brooks into the helicopter. You know, the guy who's the Joker, who, man, you know, I'm ready to get out of here. You kind of think, okay, he's almost ready to leave. He's going to die. That's usually the cliche, but that doesn't happen. He actually makes it, and it's the other guys who die, including the cameraman who puts the camera down, and he goes back to help Richard Brooks, and then he gets shot down as the camera watches from the helicopter, and the helicopter flies away with the last 3 remaining: Richard Brooks, the Joker guy, Easy, and the LT, Jonathan Emerson. So it does a nice job of, like, okay, I didn't quite guess everyone who was going to. So it's not like one of those endings where everybody dies, or, you know, yeah, this is 1989. This is before, you know, they constantly did that with Blair Witch, which I do like, but other films as well. I'm not really sure what else to say about it. It's a film that's worth a watch if you're into war films. If you want to see sort of a realistic take on following this recon team, the little details of what they have to do day in and day out. But it wasn't the most interesting watch for me. There were times where I stopped and I was doing something else, then I started playing again. So it wasn't the most involving film. To be honest, I got a little bit. I thought it was a little too slow, too boring at times. That's why I won't watch it again. I know I won't watch it again because it just got too boring at times. I'm like, okay, I understand. They're going through, they're watching, they're talking a little bit, watching. But I liked it, and I gave it the pass. And the director, writer, same guy, did a nice job since he was a veteran of taking those details and making it feel more real. The acting was big, thumbs up. The location they shot at, the idea is pretty cool too. I mean, especially back in 1989, which this wasn't the normal thing to do a film. I thought it was a nice take where they have all these war films to do it this way. I thought it was a good idea. I mean, the acting, the writing, the scenery. I mean, I should say the location and the idea made it a good film. You know, it's 90 minutes long, so it's not too terribly long. You buy their emotions, you buy their, yeah. Again, the guy who played Easy, the Joker type guy, I his name. He did a really good job. He has a lot of funny dialogue. Nicholas Cascone, he did a really good job with it. I'm trying to see if this guy's ever done anything after. He was in Titanic as Bobby. I don't remember that guy in Titanic. He was in The Puppet Masters with Donald Sutherland, Mr. Baseball. He was in The Cell as FBI technician, Dragonfly as doctor, Undisputed. Huh. Let me look at. He did a really good job. He was pretty funny at times. And let me look at the Jonathan Emerson. Not much. Yeah, a lot of TV work. Maybe this is where I saw him at. Okay, I thought this guy looked familiar. He was in Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. The new guy, or the LT. I wonder who was in Graveyard Shift. I think I know who it is. I know I'm lollygagging, but I want to make sure. Yeah, I think that, okay. I think that is, yeah, he's the guy in Graveyard Shift, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. He was at the very beginning who got pissed off at the rats and is like, you know, we're going to make an example. I think that was Jonathan Emerson, yeah. He was the guy at the very beginning of Stephen King's Graveyard Shift who gets pushed into that cotton thing. And he's first billed, so he kind of is the lead in this film. Then he's the guy who goes in with this group along with the guy with the camera. I knew he looked familiar. Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. Okay, cool. But again, the acting was good. The dialogue was good. So if you're into war films, give it a look. It does not deserve to not have a DVD release. It just not a film I would rewatch again because it got a little too slow and a little too boring. Like, you know, maybe because you've kind of seen it before. What if you've seen Platoon, Casualties of War, Full Metal Jacket, Hamburger Hill, like I have. Well, if you want to put like Uncommon Valor and Rambo, I don't know if you want to put them in the war genre, but I put them just action genre. But you know, I've just seen a lot of films that I like better. But this is definitely an interesting film. So if you haven't seen 84 Charlie MoPic, give it a watch. At least for the acting and dialogue, it's very well written. And once again, the director Patrick Duncan did a really solid job on maintaining a reality. You know, you buy that, you know, this stuff was really happening. I didn't believe it because I knew Richard Brooks, and you know, I knew that one guy looked familiar, and he was in Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. But you know, it sold very well. But anyway, that's 84 Charlie MoPic or 84C MoPic. I liked it okay. Definitely give it a look if you guys can find it. And either way, thanks for watching, and we will see you later. Ciao.